Okay. So I was browsing through Twitter yesterday, and I want to read you something that I that was written by none other than Andrzej Karpathy, who is one of the best engineers out there. Let me try to find it. Okay, the tweet says, "How to become expert at thing. 1. Iteratively take on concrete projects and accomplish them depth-wise, learning on demand, i.e., don't learn bottom up breadth-wise. 2. Teach and summarize everything you learn in your own words. 3. Only compare yourself to younger you, never to others." So I read that and I was thinking about how I've been approaching AI. And I think I may have slightly lost the plot a little bit because I didn't really have a concrete project in mind, although I did have a question in mind the whole time, which I was reading the papers in service of. And that question was, um, how do multiplayer world models work? This was back when I started the whole AI thread with the Mira paper. And I ended up having to read all these other papers and going on this huge tangent for basically 2 weeks before I felt like I had a good framework to be able to understand the Mira paper. But during that tangent, I kind of forgot. I forgot why I was on that tangent in the first place, and I ended up never getting back to the Mira paper. So, um, I think I should be trying to be like rigorous about asking a particular question and like maybe even putting this in the Google Doc that I've been tracking all my progress in and remembering that the whole point of everything I'm doing is to answer that specific question. Um, Otherwise, I just end up going off the rails and just reading random stuff, which, as Andrzej is saying, is not really the best way to become an expert. And I agree with him. You want to go top to bottom, not bottom up. You want to ask a question and then obtain the knowledge necessary to answer the question. You don't just want to obtain random knowledge because that knowledge is going to be unstructured and you're not going to remember it really. So now that being said, I do think there is value in like just reading a lot of random stuff within a field to get a good baseline understanding of the field. For example, I'm going to start BCI soon, and I think the question I'm going to want to ask is why, or some formulation of the following. Why is it so hard to get a non-invasive, high-resolution video of the inside of the brain? That's the question I want to answer. Or is it hard? Maybe I'll find out it's not hard and everyone's missing something. And before I go about answering that question, reading all the things necessary to answer it, I'm gonna need to like understand the basic vocabulary of these papers, for which I think it does make sense to kind of do a random walk, at least a little bit. But anyway, I think the one adjustment I am going to make for sure is in the Google Doc, I need to keep track of the question that I'm answering. So that's what we're going to do going forward. Now, today I only have about 30 minutes before I have to go. And I'm in a new house, so I don't have my monitor set up. But let's see. Okay. So, I'm going to add here a question. Current question. Right at the top. And these two cues are in service of this. I'm not just going to read random papers. Now, okay, I will, but back to the epsilon greedy approach. We're going to, most of the time, exploit. We're going to try to read specific papers in service to the question. But other times we'll just read random papers that we find interesting. So the question right now is, and let's even go to the AI Google Doc. I mean, I had many questions about the Mira paper. I think I actually don't know what the question is about AI. It was like I wanted to understand why everyone is so obsessed with AI generated games. But I think I know that. They're obsessed with it because controlling a humanoid robot is a game. So if they can master existing games, then the hope is that that can transfer to controlling a humanoid robot. What is the question? Well, okay. The big overarching question was, what infrastructure changes are necessary um, to get to a world where models that understand video and produce video image visual output natively require. Yeah, so let's write that down. Now the question, like we'll refine the question, as Elon Musk likes to say. Asking the right question is much harder than answering the question. So I think the question is subject to change based on whether my curiosity changes or whether I read something that makes me realize that I'm asking the wrong question. But for now, we're just going to write this down. Some plan is better than no plan. This is going to be like my North Star. In fact, I'm just going to write this. I'm going to write this down. Question is the North Star. Current question. Okay. What infrastructure does a world which consists of visual native AI models, video in, image / video out? If we're not asking a question, the fact that I don't know what my question was, I think that's a pretty bad sign, right? So hopefully, yeah, adding this section is going to help. But anyway, we're taking a break from AI. With BCI, I'm pretty confident this is the right question to be asking. Because if we're thinking 50 years down the line, 100 years down the line from today, where do brain-computer interfaces end up? Where they end up is the stated end goal of Neuralink, which is that human brain consciousness ends up merging with AI, and these the BCIs become an information superhighway, which connects some hardware device that lives outside the skull that acts essentially as a tertiary cortex for the brain. So you have your limbic system, your prefrontal cortex. Those are the two layers you have right now. And the hardware device is going to be a third layer that is like added to your brain, and that will be enabled by a high bandwidth interface. So that's the whole point of Neuralink. Now, the question is like, is Neuralink going to be able to get enough data to, decode, to figure out how to decode brain signals to create this interface? Because their technology is invasive and not many people are going to want to drill a hole into their skull. Also, Neuralink's like wires can only go 1 centimeter deep into the brain, and only in a very specific region in the brain where they drill the hole. So is that enough to decode the entire brain's thoughts? Probably not. Like, I imagine what you really need is a way to image the brain as a whole. So that's really the question. The question is, what is necessary? What technology is necessary to get a high-resolution 3D video of the inside of the brain? Is invasive tech necessary? Now, if you're talking about, if by necessary I mean physically possible, it is definitely physically possible to get a high-resolution 3D video of the inside of the brain non-invasively. It's just like, is it realistic? So that's what this is the question we're gonna ask. The reason I like non-invasive is because I just have this scenario in my mind where I create some sort of cap which has these sensors on the inside of the cap, and then I sell, thousands of those, and then collect a lot of data. And I want that data to be labeled. In fact, I was watching a interview with, what's his name? What's the Neuralink guy's name? Jimmy Fan or something. This guy, DJCO. Yeah, we don't just want raw, unlabeled brain activity data. We want it to be labeled by egocentric video, I think. Because then you can align current AI models' understanding of the semantic meaning of video with the brain signal data. And that should impart meaning upon the brain signals, at least somewhat. Obviously, I think what the brain, like, what the egocentric video would show is a small subset of the brain. The brain is doing much more than processing what you're seeing. So, but I think it's a reasonable starting point. So, this is the question. Now, what I need to understand is what ultrasound is, how MRIs work, how EEGs work, and how MEGs work. Okay. So, let's begin. One thing I was discussing with my girlfriend is the skull has holes in it, right? It has holes near the nasal cavity. It has holes for the eye sockets, and I think it has holes near the ears. And so there's a lot of these technologies are hindered by the skull blocking the signal or dampening it. We were thinking, why can't you just send the signal through the hole where the holes are in the skull, or at least where the skull is thin? I mean, this is obviously, I'm sure people have thought about this already. This is not like some revolutionary realization, but it's worth understanding why that doesn't work. Where are there holes in the skull? Is the 2 okay. Two millimeters? Wow. The Terion. The heck is this thing? Okay, that's here. So that is the thinnest part. The orbital plate. Okay, so your nose has holes. What I'm trying to understand here is just how many holes there are. I'm assuming there's some way to like beam particles through these holes, have them bounce around on the inside of your brain, and then hope that they come out and take a measurement that way. Probably a stupid, but we're gonna find out why. Why is that stupid? Hmm. Okay, I think I gotta go. Okay, I'm gonna come back to this later.